What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all on analysisplayground.com. This is going to be a quick video. We're going to talk about Steve Nash getting fired by the Brooklyn Nets. Most people saw this coming. The Nets didn't get off to a great start. A lot of people thought that just because he had KD, Kyrie, and James Harden to start his career, it'd be like a Steve Kerr situation where they'll ultimately just win the championship just about out talenting teams with offense. They feel like they had a team just as good as the Warriors, but people forget that that was an Andrew Wiggins version of the Warriors. The one that just won a title didn't exist because Klay Thompson went down the same time that KD went down, so they wasn't the Warriors that they was this season prior to the one that just started, which was the 21-22 season. And Steve Nash, a lot of people looked at him as lucky, blessed to inherit a situation like that out of the gate, but it ultimately turned into spoiled milk. It seemed like it was a good thing to have, a great thing to inherit, came with a lot of pressure, came with a lot of stress. His record is pretty good as a coach because they finished above 500 every single season that he had with the Nets, and that's a positive. But ultimately, the negative is we don't really know how great of a coach Steve Nash is. We don't know what he can really do as a tactician, as a guy that can prepare teams, as a guy we've seen that he got a little fiery nature. He got ejected before. He just got ejected not that long ago. He's still a rookie coach. He only had coached about 3 years with the Nets. They felt like they had Kyrie and Kevin Durant felt like they was in a situation where they don't really need a coach to do these things. Certain things like draw out plays, they so good offensively. They was very cocky, especially after they landed James Harden, that they was going to win it all. They even was saying that Kevin Durant left the Warriors and made his own big four in Brooklyn with DeAndre Jordan, and then they realized they had to pay all these players a set amount of money, and it just wasn't realistic for Joe Tsai to do that. And then they started to pick every single player away. James Harden's gone, DeAndre's gone, LaMarcus Aldridge's gone. Now it just left with Ben Simmons, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant, which isn't bad. That's still three All-Star caliber players on one roster with Seth Curry, with Joe Harris, with Nicholas Claxton, with guys like Patty Mills and guys that can space, shoot, and finish at the rim. They still do lack a legitimate big in the paint, but every team has their own play style. Every team has their own uniqueness. They also have a new GM after they fired Steve Nash and Atkinson. Now they're trying to hire a new coach. It's supposed to be Ime is the leading candidate. He did a great job leading the Celtics. I think he ultimately failed to get them across the line. He had lackadaisical coaching like Steve Nash. He was more fiery, more demanding than Steve Nash was, but he has a history of losing attention spans. Teams drown him out a little bit, and he just didn't have that fiery push either to get up in guys and challenge them, just like Steve Nash lacked. As you've seen that in the finals, when guys start making mistakes, guys start doing whatever they wanted to a little bit too much. That allowed them to fall into a deficit against the Warriors that they ultimately couldn't climb out of, and they ended up losing that series because of it. They dribbled too much. They got out of their comfort zone. They got out the way that they played against the Heat and against teams like Milwaukee, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we lost the championship to the Golden State Warriors. And I can see him doing something similar to that in Brooklyn. You have guys with big egos, big heads, guys that feel like they know more than a coach, guys that feel that they're smarter than a coach. They even said on record they don't feel like they need a coach. Maybe it's a Kyrie Kevin Durant thing as a tandem. Maybe they need to get rid of one or the other. It's easier to do that now because Kyrie has already stated that he wants out. It's not the worst thing because Ben Simmons is already there and he's under a long-term contract just like Kevin Durant. And we already know that Ben Simmons is more of a easier, cooler, smoother, lukewarm type of guy, more of a nonchalant type of guy. He's going to fall in order and does what the coach needs him to do outside of scoring, but he is going to rebound. He's going to defend. He's going to play hard. He's been one of the runner-ups in the Defensive Player of the Year. He's been one of the best rebounders at his position, one of the best, if not the best, playmaker at the power forward position outside of LeBron, who plays point guard and small forward more than power forward anyway, and they still will have him under contract, and he still is young enough to where he could improve and get some of that KD in him if Kyrie does decide to leave. And that's a lot of cap that will leave if Kyrie does decide to go. If Kyrie does go, it will hurt this team dramatically just because they so bound on those two guys. But it also might not be the worst thing, as they still do have Seth Curry, they still will have Joe Harris, and they still will have some other weapons like Patty Mills that can come in and be solid for them at the point guard position, and then they can fill it probably with a big or another guard that can, do something a little bit more different than Kyrie. But this team has been great offensively. They've been scoring the ball very well. They've been taking care of the ball decently. Kyrie and Kevin Durant never been turnover prone players throughout their entire careers, but they haven't been that championship level team. Even when you look at the season that they had in Brooklyn with the big three, with James Harden, KD, and Kyrie Irving, that team was very lackluster defensively. They didn't really take pride in that because they feel like they can outscore and blitz anybody on the court, which was reality until they played a team like the Bucks. That I know the Nets was beat up and banged up and they couldn't stay healthy, and James Harden was on one leg. Kyrie Irving didn't even play the rest of the series, but that was a big chance to win it all that year because the next year James Harden was already gone. So you have to take advantage of those situations and those chances and cash in, because it is one chance that you have to win it all and you have to take it. And you look at the fact that Kyrie and Kevin Durant does have rings, but James Harden is the one that doesn't. And that's the best chance he had a ring. I remember his mother tweeted, "I want my son to win the ring." His best chance at winning the ring was the one in OKC, or the one with all three of them healthy. But it ultimately didn't happen. Now he's in Philly, who's have been better, and they won their last couple games, then Brooklyn, and Brooklyn has to figure this out quick, because you don't want KD and Kyrie both going and then you in a redoing a situation. You went from having a big three 2 years ago to now you in a situation where you're trying to blow it up, losing three superstar players, and now you have to go back and try to get another one. And you gotta remember, Ben Simmons is still young. Kyrie is not even 30 either, and Kevin Durant is only 33 years old. Obviously, if you trade these guys, you will get a great return in return, because they're under contract, and Kyrie is young enough to get you some good picks in return too, because of his age and because of how good of an offensive player he is. But he's even taking his value with his comments and what he says and how he has been approaching this season, and the fact that they're 2-5 with two of the best scorers in the league doesn't help their cases either, as guys that can be huge difference makers. And then you gotta look at the fact that a lot of the guys that's in their prime, you rather keep them longer, because KD has been injury prone just like Kyrie throughout their careers, and Ben Simmons has a back injury, which we don't really know how good and how great he will be, because he has looked like the worst version of himself. Plus he has had a lot of criticism too, because of his ability not to be able to score from the perimeter and not want to take shots at all from the perimeter. People and fans have got tired of it, and it's continuing so far in Brooklyn. And the fact that his defense has slipped too because of the back injury, this makes it even tougher and even harder to even want Ben Simmons. And it took a while for him to even get traded until he actually did. It took almost a year for him to get traded to Brooklyn, and now they probably stuck with that contract. I don't think Ben Simmons is the worst contract to have, as he is a double-double waiting to happen, and he does just need 2 more years to get it back going defensively, and he will still be a perennial type of all-star type of player, which is still great to have. It's not worst thing, and the fact that he's not even 28, 29, or 30 means you still have somebody that can attract somebody, and then you can build from there. But I will hold on to KD until the right offer is there. I would try to trade Kyrie now before you lose him for nothing in free agency. People forget that Kyrie Irving is a free agent. So if you don't trade him now, he can just leave for nothing. He can do a sign and trade, but then you will just get worse value, because they know for sure he wants to leave, and they'll just give you pennies on a dime instead of stuff that you actually want. So to me, I really do want to see how this Brooklyn thing self-combust. Can Ime come in and save this team, or will he just be a replacement coach like he was in Boston? We don't want our coach anymore, so we're going to go with Ime. Ime is not the guy for us. The best coach available is Quinn Snyder, as he had led the team to the #1 team in the entire NBA. Plus, he also had one of the best defensive coaches in the entire game when he was coaching the Utah Jazz. That was always one of the top 5 or #1 in defense. That's something that this team does need. I don't know if they have the care and the personnel to do that or accomplish that goal, but then again, that's the GM's job That's a coach's job, and that's the coach's job to get in this player and demand excellent greatness from them. Maybe they do need a Quinn Snyder instead of an Ime. Maybe Ime learned his lesson from Boston and want to continue to build upon that and coach this team. Or maybe Quinn Snyder should go to Boston and Ime should go to Brooklyn, and then they'll both be taken, and we all be happy because I want us to pick up Quinn Snyder as a Celtics fan. But other than that, we wish good luck to Ime. He did a great job for his first year. We already won a lot of games without him already. We already shown that we don't need him. We don't miss him. I believe we can still get back to the finals. I think we're just as good as the Bucks, just as good as the Heat. We have proved that this season already, beating teams like the Sixers and other great teams already this season. And like I said, Quinn Snyder is still out there, who I think is a way more proven and a way better coach in general than a guy like Ime Udoka, who only had one season and didn't do what Quinn Snyder has did as a coach. And on top of that, Boston has better personnel than Brooklyn, and we just swept Brooklyn 4-0 last year in the NBA playoffs, and they was healthy. They had no excuse outside of not having Ben Simmons, who everybody criticizes anyway, so I don't think it would have been that much of a difference in the series, but they probably would have won one or two more games if they had Ben Simmons healthy. The old Ben Simmons, not the injury one, but if he was going to be injured, not be able to produce that much like he is now, they probably was going to get swept anyway. Other than that, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, signing out on analysisplayground.com. Remember, I will be doing instant analysis on the Bulls Nets game tonight. Look forward to that, and I will be adding video of real games eventually this year or next year. The year is almost over. That's why I say it like that. Other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the hot topic. I haven't did one of these in a minute. See y'all guys later today.